the Natick High School 1982 football team. They were the 1982 Super Bowl champs, as you will recall, beating Melrose 35-34. Bay State League champions, 11 wins, 0 losses. Division I Massachusetts Super Bowl champions, 12-game winning streak, ranked number 1 in New England, ranked 23rd nationally in USA Today. Led by captains Jim DiPaolo, Nick Luisi, Mike McBreen, and Dave Morrell, the 1982 team rushed for 49 carries with a total of 2,827 yards and completed 67 passes for a total of 1,190 yards, scoring 59 touchdowns and kicking 8 extra points. And tonight, we're thrilled to call up here to honor the coaches. Tom Lamb, Joe Kiley, Bob Galani, Jack O'Rourke, Bob May, Jim Von Yu, Tom Carr, and Scott Grady. Coaches, come on up. Jessica? Okay. What we're going to do, because the other team has some very similar statistics, and we're going to be able to hear from Tom, is let me tell you about that team as well. The Natick High School 1983 football team champions, beating Peabody 28-14. Bay State League champs with 11 wins, 0 losses. Second consecutive Division I Massachusetts Super Bowl champs. 23-game winning streak. Ranked number 1 in New England. Ranked 10th nationally in USA Today. Led by captains Rich Adams, Glenn Shavus, Darren Flutie, and Jim Kelly, the 1983 team rushed for 397 carries with a total of 2,695 yards and completed 65 passes for a total of 1,006 yards, scoring 50 touchdowns and kicking 40 extra points. The coaches, again, Tom Lamb, Joe Kiley, Bob Galani, Jack O'Rourke, Billy LaCouture, Bob May, and Jim Von Yu. Let's hear it for the teams and the coaches. But there's one more team. And one more team. The football team from 1984. The Bay State League champs with 10 wins, 0 losses. 33-game winning streak. Ranked number 2 in New England. Ranked 13 nationally in USA Today. Longest winning streak in the country in 1984. Led by captains Joel Christofoli, Paul Galani, Mike Fair, and Tim Hopkins, the 1984 team rushed for 394 carries with a total of 2,505 yards and completed 91 passes for a total of 1,328 yards, scoring 47 touchdowns and kicking 34 extra points. And the coaches, ladies and gentlemen. Tom Lamb, Joe Kiley, Bob Galani, Jack O'Rourke, Billy LaCouture, Bob May, and Jim Von Yu. Let's hear it now for those and those coaches. Tom Lamb is going to come up and
Great to see you.
everybody loves you. So nice.
All the teams or the coaches? I think there are some, thank you, Susan, and great job as usual. Susan's awesome, isn't she? She does such a wonderful job with this. She really does. First of all, congratulations to all the tonight's inductees. What a fantastic class. If there is a Hall of Fame in this country that is better than this Hall of Fame, the people that are already inducted, and never mind the ones that have to go, I'd like to see it. Seriously, I don't think there's a better high school in the country. So congratulations to everyone. I'm representing 3 years of fantastic guys here, and I would like to bring, there are a few staff members here that I know of, and maybe I've missed someone. I'd like them to come up first. I think Jack O'Rourke is here somewhere. Jack, come on up so everyone can see him. I know Bobby May's here. Come on up, Bobby. I know Richie didn't know this, but Billy Lockacher came in. Billy, come on down here. Kirk Buschenfeld's up here. And I think Susan did a nice job of reading all those the other coaches that weren't able to be here, and Mr. Galani and Mr. Kiley and everyone that she mentioned. I want to bring one other coach. We called her coach. She took care of all these guys. Mary Levitt, come on up here, Mary, with us. Come on. You can't talk to Mary without seeing her Super Bowl ring. You know that. Come on over. I've got to be brief here, but I do want, now I think Kirk wants us to let's bring up all those teams. First of all, the 82, there's overlap here, obviously, but the 82 team, come on up. If you're here on the 82 team. A number of them seem to have copied Coach Lamb's haircut for some reason. I don't know. That wasn't the intention, Choco. The 83 team, come on up. There are a few people here. And the 84 team members, if you're here, come on up. 84. And also I tell you that while they're coming up, that streak went into the 85 year, as you probably know, and I think the class of 85 has a table back there too. But again, I've got to be brief because you want to hear from the captains. I just want to compliment, this was football heaven back in those days, if you remember. We were winning. These kids, these men were fantastic kids at that time. They were great students. We had a high five of being a great student, being a great athlete, being a great worker, being a great competitor, and being a gentleman. You know, that was on the wall, and that's them. That's them. I see Vi shaking her head. It's the truth. They're unbelievable. And we knew they'd be so successful as they went on in life. They were tremendous examples. Coach May said, and our son, the same thing, what great examples they were for these 10-year-olds like Joel Lamb and all our kids, the Galani kids and the Kiley kids and the May kids on the sidelines. They wanted to be like them. And it was just tremendous to have Doug going around. You know, as you all know, we'd see our game. Hey, we won. Mr. Gately'd be counting it off down, and then we go home. Let's get home. Doug's on. We got to see him win the Heisman here. So it was football heaven. It really was. And I just want to mention, Vi, some of those support people that were so awesome. Vi Tatuni and her notes every game. I think we wore a pen out because she wrote notes every game we won. And there were quite a few, right, guys? Mr. Gately and Mr. Fair and Mr. Arger, who you heard the story, so I don't have to go into that. But these people and Vanjie, and obviously I wish we could call Mr. Carroll up because he had such an influence on all of us, coaches, players. It's my pleasure now, before I could go on forever, but I won't. Just saying they were very special times, and thank you guys. I'm going to introduce Nick Louisi, who's going to start introducing a couple of the other captains too after he says a few things. In my 40 years of coaching, he might be the finest competitor I've ever seen. The guy was ferocious. He's the nicest guy just what we wanted. Nicest guy off the field, but when you get out there and that ball snapped, watch out. Nick Louisi.
The 1982 Natick High School football team finished the regular season with a record of 10 wins and no losses and were crowned Bay State League champions. They won the Division I Massachusetts Super Bowl with a 35-34 victory over Melrose. They finished the season with a 12-game winning streak extending back to Thanksgiving the year before, were ranked number 1 in New England and ranked 23rd nationally in the USA Today. They averaged 35 points per game over the 11 games while giving up only 13.2. Led by senior captains Jim DiPaolo, Nick Luisi, Mike McBreen, and Dave Morrill, the other members of the 1982 Super Bowl champion football team were sophomores Joel Crisafulli, Mike Fair, Paul Galani, juniors Doug Adams, Rich Adams, Tom Alubel, Tim Bache, John Brown, Scott Bush, Jim Cardelicchio, Darren Chalk, Glenn Chavis, Jeff Davis, Scott Donahue, Matt Donovan, Steve Fangle, Darren Flutie, Jeff Gans, David Green, Mike Gross, Dean Hladik, Jack Isaacs, Mike Keene, Jim Kelly, Greg Lamont, Wes Mannerson, Brad Peterson, Reggie Steele, Tim Tancredi, John Williams, Mike Wilson, Hamza Zobar, seniors George Bradley, Craig Chisholm, Paul Dunn, Rich Estes, Bob Flaherty, Bill Gately, Jim Cass, Donnie Marsh, Gary Nelson, Jerry Rizzo, Don Olson, Bob Sniffen, Rob Thorne, Bill Whitfield. The coaching staff, Tom Lamb, Joel Kiley, Bob Galani, Jack O'Rourke, Bob May, Jim Von Yu, Tom Carr, Scott Grady. The 2012 Natick High School Athletic Hall of Fame inductee, the 1982 Super Bowl champion football team.
Wow. It's been about 30 years. I suppose it doesn't sound so much when you compare it to some of the inductees that preceded us when they talk about 50, 60 years. But essentially, I prepared something. I want to read it. First of all, I want to definitely congratulate all the inductees. The 2 classes before, some of our teammates went into those classes, as well as all the inductees tonight. Congratulations to you. I certainly am aware of all the work that it took to get to this point while you're playing in your careers. But essentially, thank you, Coach. I really couldn't have asked for a better introduction. I appreciate that. Much of what we were able to accomplish as a team was due to the tremendous support of the townspeople and the boosters of the town of Natick. My entire playing time here at Natick High School, as a Natick Redman, not one fan ever asked about wins or losses. They always asked you, were you playing, and good luck, who were you playing? Press coverage, part of something that just promoted and helped the program mushroom. We had Larry O'Regan at the Natick Bulletin, as well as Lenny Meggs from the Metro West News. It was great for the community, great for the program, and it just contributed to the community ties that were in the process of being built. Next, of course, John Carroll, the athletic director, provided us with the best equipment that money could buy, and he continually upgraded the facilities. We always had the top-notch facilities. The next, I just want to also say that we always wondered who arranged for that police escort at the town line. And we all know that ultimately it was him. He took care of it. Next, I want to mention some of the other people in town. Russ Fortini. He always had the best kept facility. The field was maintained perfectly. We also had Vanjie Sticker. He was driving the bus. He made sure we got there with lots of time to spare, safely, sometimes a little hairy, but safely. And he would just burst out into chorus with the Natick fight song. So for that, we certainly couldn't forget Vanjie. It was also Jim Arger, who, the boosters, they were the ones that got the permanent lighting installed in the field. Much unbeknownst to me, I thought it was a tremendous effort to raise those funds. Little did I know it took a couple of phone calls and just picking up the phone. So much to my surprise, it was that easy. But again, we're very grateful for the contributions of the boosters to the Natick programs. And again, these people, only a few examples of the contributors in the community that supported the team. And for that, we're all very grateful. And as, on behalf of all the student athletes, I certainly want to thank all of the people that were behind the scenes that made everything possible. So just in summation, the Natick 1982 Redmond team, after years of competing at the youth level against each other in junior high, and then playing again the sophomore teams together, the JV teams together, we walked out of Schaefer Stadium on December the 4th, 1982, with the Division I Super Bowl trophy, cheers of grateful fans, parents, and friends, and boosters. What we understood was how lucky we were to play for Natick High School and the opportunity we were given. What we hadn't realized at the time is that we were being taught much more than just football skills. We were taught to be leaders, to do the right thing, even if at times we didn't realize it. And so on behalf of all three teams, many thanks go out to the parents, coaches, boosters, the entire community. Thank you all. And with that, I'd like to bring up Rich Adams, one of the captains from the '83 team.
The 1983 Natick High School football team finished the regular season with a record of 10 wins and no losses and second consecutive Bay State League championship. They won their second consecutive Division I Massachusetts Super Bowl with a 28-14 victory over Peabody. They finished the season with a 23-game winning streak, were ranked number 1 in New England, and ranked 10th nationally in the USA Today. They averaged 33.5 points per game over the 11 games, while giving up only 3.6. Led by senior captains Rich Adams, Glenn Chavis, Darren Flutie, and Jim Kelly, the other members of the 1983 Super Bowl champion football team were sophomores Mark Bianchi, Bob Giagieri, Rocky Edwards, Al Pagarian, juniors Mike Arger, Chanel Bethia, Brian Burke, Cliff Chase, Mark Chisholm, Mark Clough, Joe Condlin, Joel Crisafulli, Ed Cuddy, Sean Daly, Mike Fair, Fred Fleming, John Castaldo, Mike Gately, Paul Galani, Steve Gosmini, Mike Hamill, Jeff Hastings, Tim Hopkins, Don Hutchinson, Brett Nelson, Bill Patrone, Eric Ramston, Jeff Ronchetti, Steve Schneer, Bill Simcock, Aram Still, Jackie Tanner, seniors Doug Adams, Randy O'Clair, Tim Bache, Scott Bush, Jeff Davis, Scott Donahue, Matt Donovan, Steve Fangle, Jeff Gans, Kevin Goodrich, David Green, Mike Gross, Dean Hladick, Greg Lamont, Wes Manderson, Jack Murphy, Brad Peterson, Joe Sage, Reggie Steele, and John Williams. The coaching staff, Tom Lamb, Joe Kiley, Bob Galani, Jack O'Rourke, Bill Lacouture, Bob May, Jim Von Yu. 2012 Natick High School Athletic Hall of Fame inductee, the 1983 Super Bowl champion football team.
Boy, if you ever saw Nick put somebody right out of their cleats on the field, he did it every game at least a couple of times. It was amazing. We had one heck of a group of kids here that worked hard in the weight room, climbing the stadiums, doing it all. I'd like to say congratulations to the inductees tonight, to every one of them. It is really cool to see a lot of these old fellas. I can't call them old anymore, I guess. These old fellas from the old gridiron coming up. They truly started the Redmond pride. Way to go. That is really awesome. It is so good to see. Thank you. You guys set the examples from a long time ago. It's hard to believe it is coming up on 30 years. It is so good to see all these familiar faces. It really is. I wish we could do this once a week. This would be pretty cool. Everybody pretty much looks the same, too, I think. Well, some of us are thinning a little bit up top, but there are a lot of bald heads in here tonight. Wow. Dude, this is in vogue now, I think, right? Unbelievable. Thanks, Coach. A lot of what I'm probably not going to say has already been said, I think, and I'm crossing off a lot of stuff here that everybody's already said. So just a couple of quick things. On behalf of the team of 83, I first especially want to thank our coaches, our coaching staff, Tom Lamb, Kylie, Galani, Coach O'Rourke, Lackacher, May, and Von Yu. Without those coaches, we wouldn't have got as far as we did, no matter how much talent we had. We did have some good talent. Being a lineman in 1983 was very easy because you had guys like Jim DiPaolo, Dave Morrill, Darren Flutie, Wes Manis, and Joel Crisafulli. You didn't have to hold your block very long. It was like a couple of seconds, and they were gone. You know, you're looking at the back of their numbers. So they made us linemen Magnificent Seven. That was pretty cool. Thank you, Lenny. They made us look good. Most importantly, Coach Lamb, who pretty much ran the whole show. Like everybody said before, we can't say enough about this man that coached us. He taught us that the hard work, determination, sacrifice, that anything was possible. These values that he taught us would stay with us long after the football field. It stayed with us through pretty much our whole life, from talking to all the guys that have been here tonight. What an example he has set for us to follow. Those values I am looking forward to bringing to the young kids. I've been lucky enough to coach the Junior Redmen for the last few years, and everything that he taught us and all the other coaches taught us comes back to you. And all of a sudden you find yourself doing impersonations of all the coaches. I wasn't very good at it. Dave Green was really good at it. Is Dave here tonight? No impersonations tonight. There were some good ones. As I spoke to Lenny Megliola last week, he was asking me what stuck out most in my mind about being the 2 Super Bowls and what was the most fondest memory I had. And I had to think about it for a minute. I think it was Glenn Chavis throwing up before every single game in the locker room. Just nerves. And then he went out and kicked butt afterwards. But no, honestly, the thing that came to my mind was coming back to Natick. The game almost to me now seems like a blur. It happened fast. It was incredible. We won. There were some plays that would stick out in your mind. The Donnie Marsh rundown from across the field, incredible. Gosh, I'd love to watch that on video again. But what really stuck out in my mind is coming back to Natick. What an amazing feeling, as Nick said, with the police escorts and the fire escorts and coming into downtown Natick in 82 and 83. I didn't know there was that many people in Natick. And they're in downtown Natick, and they are swarming, and we are riding the buses. Everybody remembers riding the buses through town, hanging out the windows, yelling, screaming. Then when we got to the high school, holy cow, I mean, you wanted that moment to go on forever. I think that is the most fond moment that I have, was coming back to Natick. Natick was such a supportive town for us, from the parents of all the players to all my teammates, and thank you to all my teammates for being great teammates, for working as hard as you did, for all those hours of running stadiums, lifting weights, doing it all. You guys were awesome. You all deserve to be here. Thank you to the town of Natick, especially for all your support. We are very lucky to be here tonight. There are several of our teammates that have passed and cannot be here tonight. And I would like to mention their names with a moment of silence for them. I know that we all have fond memories of them. And if you can just picture them as I call out their name, and I'll do that now. Matt Donovan, Chenault Bethea, Donnie Hutchinson, Howie Resnick, and Dennis Green. God bless them. We have just a moment of silence for them. Thank you. Enjoy the night, all of you. You've earned it. It was a great time. I'm looking forward to hearing some more stories tonight. Thank you, especially Coach Lamb and all our assistant coaches. And thank you, Natick. Thank you very much. I would like to introduce Joel Crisafoli, captain of the '84 team.
The 1984 Natick High School football team finished the regular season with a record of 10 wins and no losses and third consecutive Bay State League championship. Due to the high school ratings system in place at the time, Natick was not invited to their third consecutive Super Bowl. They were ranked number 2 in New England and ranked 13th nationally in USA Today, and they held claim to the longest winning streak in the country in 1984 at 33 games. They averaged 33.4 points per game over the 10 games while giving up only 9.3. Led by senior captains Joel Crisafulli, Mike Fair, Paul Galani, and Tim Hopkins, the other members of the 1984 Bay State League champion football team were sophomores Joe Arena, Andy Wild, juniors Joe Astancoa, Mark Bianchi, Paul Byrne, Mark Carafelli, Dave Kalari, Eric Cooper, Rocky Edwards, Don Eggert, Chris Fort, Greg Fort, Bill George, Bob Giorgieri, Wayne Hooper, George Haywood, Andy Hladek, Tony Indelicato, LeBaron James, Greg Levezzo, Mike McAvoy, Mike McTagg, Al Pogarian, Tom Powers, Howie Resnick, Dave Reynolds, John Sage, Tony Scarelli, Matt Simcock, Mike Tomasetti, Tala Zobar, seniors Mike Arger, Chenault Bethea, Paul Bradley, Brian Burke, Cliff Chase, Mark Chisholm, Mark Clough, John Condlin, Sean Daly, Fred Fleming, John Gastaldo, Mike Gately, Dave Glazer, Steve Guzmini, Mike Hamill, Jeff Hastings, Don Hutchinson, Brett Nelson, Bill Patrone, Eric Ramstrom, Jeff Ronchetti, Mark Sandler, Steve Schneer, Bill Simcock, Aram Still, Jackie Tanner, and Kevin Tuttle. The coaches, Tom Lamb, Joe Kiley, Bob Galani, Jack O'Rourke, Bill Lacouture, Bob May, Jim Van Yu. 2012 Natick High School Athletic Hall of Fame inductee, the 1984 Bay State League champion football team.
They went way over time. They were supposed to all have 2 minutes. So, well, my first thoughts of speaking last here tonight, I was really nervous because this is such a tremendous honor to be here. But I figured last at night's not so bad because maybe half the people are left and the other half maybe had too much to drink. So, but you're all still here, so I guess I have to go through this. We were under strict orders from Captain McBreen to keep it tight to 2 minutes and keep it focused, so that's what I'm going to do. From all the teams, we want to extend a thank you to the tremendous support, impact, effort, and dedication of the coaching staff and administration at Natick High School. The coaching staff, from the scouting reports and preparation to instilling winning attitude, encouraging and providing for off-season workouts, and for creating a positive team-first environment. Coach Lamb and his staff worked tirelessly to get us ready each week. He used tradition as motivation by talking with us before each game outside Memorial Field, standing at the tree, giving us a few words of encouragement, then having us run onto the field 2 by 2, first class, all 70 of us. It was quite a scene. Natick may have been more talented than some opponents. However, Natick always had better coaches. Against Framingham North in 1984, for instance, when both teams were 8-0, the coaching staff made a point to include a little-used buck trap into the offensive game plan. The play was a major factor in deciding that game. Framingham North was never able to solve the pulling guard, downfield blocking, and we won 21-7. The staff always made strategic changes on offense and defense to ensure we would be more prepared than the other team. Natick was never outcoached. And thank you also to the administration and Athletic Director John Carroll for supporting our efforts, from coordinating practices at Sullivan Stadium in Foxborough to getting game uniforms washed and dried, as well as providing spectator buses for away games. Those were the norm at Natick High School. On one rainy day in Norwood in 1983, we were drenched at halftime in a hard-fought battle for the Bay State League title. We entered the locker room where John Carroll was handing out dry undershirts and new white game jerseys for each of us. He also gave us the greatest halftime speech that day, and a close game became a blowout, 27-0 in favor of Natick. It was a first-class operation. We had respect and a successful atmosphere. We worked hard and we played hard. We were supported by a great coaching staff and administration. Thanks to everyone that made it possible. And thanks to our moms and dads, to all our families, who we tried so hard to make proud of us. Thank you. Lastly, I would like to personally thank my teammates. This event tonight has allowed us all to reconnect, to remember who we are and where we have come from. I am proud, honored, and humbled by my teammates' efforts, their camaraderie, and their love of Natick High. There are too many to mention individually. However, the 14 captains especially who worked together on this deserved a thank you. So thank you, guys. Teammates tonight, teammates for life, thank you.